A thirsty man searches for water in the desert, only to strangely discover high-voltage power lines in front of him. He has never seen anything like them before, and they clearly do not belong to his era, leaving him completely shocked. After coming back to his senses, he turns around and calls out to his companions, only to discover that the entire convoy and all the people behind him have mysteriously disappeared.
Where did they go?
Because just a few minutes earlier, he and the convoy were still traveling through the desert. Not only had they failed to reach their destination, California, but they had also lost their way, causing a severe shortage of food and water. Even worse, his son Chris has already had a dangerously high fever for 11 consecutive days. If this continues, he could die at any moment. The entire convoy is facing a life-or-death crisis, forcing Horn, the leader of the group, to search alone for water and food. Realizing that everyone has vanished into thin air, Horn becomes somewhat frightened. When he turns around, the high-voltage power poles are still there, which makes him even more confused.
What's going on here?
But driven by curiosity and the responsibility on his shoulders, he still grits his teeth and continues forward to investigate what is happening. After a while, he arrives at a highway. Looking at the asphalt beneath his feet and the huge power structures above him, he begins wondering what kind of things they are. Suddenly, the sound of a horn comes from ahead. He stares at the unfamiliar giant machine in front of him and freezes in place. Only when the truck is about to hit him does he finally react and jump aside. Unfortunately, his gun accidentally goes off and hits his own arm. To him, the massive truck in front of him is no different from a monster. With no time to think, he continues walking along the road and discovers a road sign. It says that 1 kilometer ahead there is a gas station with a coffee shop. He follows the highway forward and eventually stumbles to the entrance of the shop, carefully examining the fuel pumps.
Howdy.
Suddenly, he sees a man dressed in fashionable cowboy clothing, completely different from his own outfit. Seeing that he has finally found a living person, Horn quickly begins telling him everything he has experienced.
Say what?
He says some kind of monster-like thing suddenly charged toward him. Joe is completely confused by what he hears. After thinking for a moment, he realizes Horn is probably describing a truck. Joe becomes curious and asks how long Horn has been in the desert.
Oh, almost a year.
Horn adds that he came from Ohio, and that one of their wagons was even burned by Native Americans along the way. His words leave Joe completely puzzled.
Yeah, well,
Seeing that Horn's hand is injured, Joe warmly invites him inside, saying that his wife Mary is a nurse and can take a look at the wound. And so, Horn enters the house in a daze. Joe pours him a glass of water, and Horn immediately drinks it all in one gulp. His strange behavior surprises both Joe and Mary.
flies.
Joe jokes that this sounds like something an old man would say, although the couple remains very friendly toward him. When Joe tries to take Horn's gun, Horn immediately becomes alert. Out of instinct, he reacts extremely strongly. Mary can only nervously help bandage his wound, afraid that he might do something extreme. Horn asks Joe whether there are any Native Americans around here. Joe is extremely surprised by the question.
Well, we don't have any Indians.
Horn becomes confused because he had encountered them not long ago. Joe explains that there are no enemies anymore. After his injured hand is bandaged, Horn begins looking around at all the objects around him. Almost everything is a strange and unfamiliar invention he has never seen before. When Joe notices that Horn does not even recognize a phonograph, he begins to doubt Horn's identity and cannot help asking where he is from. Horn answers that he is from Ohio. His wagon train is parked beyond the hill, and he came out searching for water. Although Joe is shocked by his answer, he still tells Horn that there is a spring west of the hill. Then Horn asks Joe whether there is any game to hunt, leaving both Joe and Mary completely speechless.
Well, I guess so.
At that moment, Mary brings over some pills and reminds Horn to take them.
What do you got there?
It's penicillin. It'll keep away any infection.
When Horn does not even know what penicillin is or where it came from, the couple begins questioning his mental state.
You feel all right?
But Horn does not care about any of that. He only wants to know whether penicillin can cure his son's illness.
You mean you brought your family with you?
While he is explaining the situation of his wagon train in detail, he suddenly notices a calendar hanging on the wall. When he sees the year printed on it, he is instantly terrified. He cannot believe that it is now September 1961, while the era he came from is 1847. The revelation is so shocking that even the cup in Mary's hand falls to the ground. Facing such an unbelievable situation, Horn begins to panic. He does not understand where he is and demands to know who these two people are. Then everything goes black and he collapses unconscious. After examining him, the doctor tells Joe that Horn is suffering from malnutrition, but his body is still very strong. Joe asks whether Horn might have a mental problem because his words and behavior are so strange, almost as if he is confused. But the doctor answers that Horn is actually very clear-minded. He can accurately describe people and events, and he does not seem like someone with a mental disorder. However, what puzzles the doctor is that Horn has 2 cavities in his teeth, and the fillings are definitely not made using modern dental techniques. When they mention the gun Horn carries, everyone becomes confused. The gun is a century-old antique, yet it looks brand new, which is extremely strange. The doctor tells them that Horn is experiencing a very real delusion. What he needs now is rest and calm. He also mentions that his son's symptoms are likely pneumonia. Faced with so many unusual things, everyone is completely confused and does not know what to do, so the doctor calls the police. At this moment, Horn wakes up. He stands at the doorway holding an encyclopedia and hands it to Mary. Through the information in the book, they discover that a man named Chris became a medical doctor, specializing in childhood vaccine research, and would die in 1914.
That's my son. That's Chris.
Joe and Mary are shocked. Horn knows that he did not come here for no reason. Looking at the penicillin in his hand, he realizes there must be a purpose behind it.
No reason.
He also knows that he must return immediately. Just as he prepares to leave with the medicine, the doctor stops him, saying he can help Horn and that he needs rest and medical treatment. But Horn has no intention of staying. He must race against time to return and save his son, so he firmly refuses. Joe quickly steps forward to stop him, but Horn hits him in the stomach with the butt of his gun. Horn then hurriedly leaves the shop and runs in the direction he came from. Before he gets far, police cars arrive and begin chasing him. Horn notices them and can only run faster. Fortunately, the police cars cannot continue after entering the desert. However, the detectives do not give up. They get out and continue chasing him on foot. Horn struggles forward. Suddenly, his foot slips and he falls to the ground. The bottle of medicine is accidentally thrown away. Without time to think, he quickly picks it up and continues running toward the top of the hill. Even though he is exhausted, he does not dare stop for even a moment. By now, the detectives are already very close and could catch him at any time. After Horn crosses the hill, he suddenly freezes in shock. The wagon train is right in front of him. The sight fills him with joy. When he turns around, the detectives and their cars have disappeared. Clearly, he has returned to his own era. Fortunately, the bottle of medicine is still in his hand, making everything he experienced seem like a realistic dream. After returning, he learns from his wife Martha that the wagon train never left, and only a few minutes have passed since he disappeared. Although Horn is extremely confused and does not understand what happened, everything feels too unbelievable. He quickly gives the medicine bottle to his wife and tells her that this can save their son. Horn also tells his companions that beyond the hill lies an entirely new world, and that it is people brave enough to take risks who create amazing history. Meanwhile, Joe and the detectives return to the shop. Although they fail to catch Horn, they do find his gun. Joe tells Mary that when Horn dropped the gun, he immediately picked it up. Strangely, compared with before, the gun looks as if it had been lying in the desert for hundreds of years. It is covered in rust, and the stock can be broken off with just a little force. Mary also wonders who Horn really is and where he came from, but Joe does not know either. He believes Horn must have returned to his own place because when he and the detectives reached the hill, Horn disappeared instantly. Everything about it was incredibly mysterious. At this moment, Horn is leading the wagon train forward because there is a water source ahead. He also knows that his son will one day achieve great things in California. Perhaps someday we may have encountered people who traveled through time, but we simply never realized it.